The first time I drank alcohol, I absolutely loved that feeling. I had a great childhood. I was very active in sports. I performed at the Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle doing ballet, and then when I realized I was going to be 6 feet tall, basketball and volleyball were more my thing. Things happen kind of personally, and slowly you can get beaten down by things that happen in your life. And at a young age, you just don't know how to cope with those things. My mom will tell you that she didn't like some of the friends I hung out with. And then I started trying things. Most alcoholics can remember their first drink because of the way that it made them feel. High school, I got kicked off the volleyball team and suspended for going to practice high, skipping school, and just bad choices, you know? And that was devastating to me because sports was everything to me. I did have to go to some counseling, some like drug and alcohol counseling in that, but I didn't want it to work, so I didn't give them, I wasn't honest with them and all that kind of stuff. And so of course my parents wanted me to be and to try to get better, but I wasn't ready and I wasn't willing. I ended up graduating high school, got a scholarship for basketball and volleyball, so I went to a community college out in Bremerton, and then I had freedom away from home, away from parents, and so I ended up only going to school for about 6 months.
Wow.
Got evicted from our apartment, ended up living in my car, until I had a friend that had an uncle that allowed me to live in his detached garage on his property. That's really when I first attempted a suicide by cop. I went out and found an officer and got in a high-speed chase.
And you thought, I'm going to do this
Yeah.
and die.
Yeah, and I thought, he's going to shoot me because I'm going to get in a high-speed chase and I'm going to go through residential areas and I'm going to run stop signs, which I did, and finally pulled over, got out of my car and ran.
Wow.
But he didn't shoot me. And then right after that is when my dad died. And that was pivotal to me. It was the morning of his birthday, and I was downstairs, and their bedroom was right above mine, and I heard a thunk and a glass breaking. And then I heard my mom scream, a scream that I will never forget. And it's like I knew. I went into my parents' room and I saw my mom trying to drag him flat to the ground. My mom started doing rescue breaths, I started doing compressions, and he passed pretty quickly, and so that was 25 years ago today that he passed. Doing CPR on him, and then him not surviving, that just was overwhelming because you're daddy's girl, you know? And I was his only daughter, and I have 3 brothers, and then I was like, who's gonna walk me down the aisle? And that's when I really started drinking pretty bad. I was pretty functioning alcoholic for quite a while, and then skip a few years. I mean, I got to the point where if I had to go more than 20 minutes driving, I had to have a half rack for the drive. So then on March 23rd of 2003, I was driving home on 167, right by where Emerald Downs is. And so I was driving home about 5:30 in the morning. So I'd been up all day working, I had been up all night drinking, and then I was driving on the freeway. I don't remember any of that. I woke up handcuffed to a gurney at Harborview Hospital, and I was like terrified that I hurt somebody, that I hurt somebody, and I couldn't live with myself if I did that. The nurses came in and they read me the police report. They said semi-truck driver called me in. Well, I had the opportunity to talk to the police officer about a week later. And he goes, when I pulled up behind you, you had just run a car off the road. I blew almost 4 times the legal limit. He got me to the police station. Heart rate dropped low, combative. They ambulanced me to Harborview. And that was it. That was like, I got home, I slept for 2 days. I woke up and I called Lakeside Milam and I put myself into treatment.
So your life starts to change, and you realize you're sitting at the bottom. And talk us through that a little bit about, did you stay sober after that, or you have little bouts of?
That's a great question. I threw myself into treatment and AA meetings.
Okay.
And so my world, my days revolved around treatment and meetings, because at that point I didn't know how to live without drinking. It's like if I was driving somewhere, I was drinking. If if it was a Tuesday, I was drinking. If it was 2 o'clock, I was drinking. It didn't matter. I was, And so how do you now live without that?
Did it take a while for you to trust yourself?
Yes. Because a lot of when you go down a road of addiction, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, you lose all self-respect. That's gone. So it's really hard to get that back, to see that you are worth something, because you just see yourself as your addiction. You see yourself as that one doing, bad things, and there's no coming back from that. Even if you're sitting in a room quiet with just another person, not even talking, just not being alone. Because when you're alone, your brain is so powerful.
I was going to ask, how was your family through all of this?
Yeah.
My family, I can't even tell you, to have that strong family.
Yeah.
When I went through all that and I got out,
Yeah.
and my mom looked at me and she says, if you want to do something with your life, I will help you. And I said, okay. And that's when I went back to school. When you go through some stuff in the past, like I've gone through, obstacles in the future don't seem so hard. I knew I wanted to teach from the time I was in hygiene school. I was like, I really want to do that. And so I didn't get my master's right away. I sat on the advisory board at Pierce for a few years, and then they contacted me and said, hey, we know you love restorative and we have this position open. Do you want it? And I remember talking to you guys when this first came up, because I was full-time with you guys.
Yeah.
And I was very scared, because I was like, I knew I wanted to teach, but I didn't think it was going to be till I was older. And the opportunity came up. And so I had to tell you guys, I was like, I'm going down to part-time. And you know what your reaction was? You were overjoyed. You were overjoyed for me.
You're somebody that I know carries a deep empathy for others. I think that's why everybody enjoys working with you, whether they still work with you or they've worked with you in the past, or anybody I know that I know may have a connection. Oh, you've been to the Pierce Hygiene program. So then you know Professor Backus, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, bear hugs.
Yeah. Some of my patients know my story, and one dad, he literally brought his son to have a cleaning with me just so I could talk to his son about addiction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like,
chair side.
Totally. And he's like, he does need his teeth cleaned, but I really need you to talk to him about this. And I was like, done.
So this March is 20 years.
This March is 20 years.
Wow.
I remember this so distinctly, but it was, I was 9 years sober, and my mom said, here's the code to the house, here's the keys to the house, will you go out and check on it? They're like, you can go and stay there if you want. And I was like, my mom trusts me.